Hey everyone, and welcome to the Balanced Bodies Blueprint. I am your host, Vinny Russo.
And I am your co-host, Dr. Erin Stansfield.
And we're shifting gears from all the conventional fitness narrative you hear on most fitness podcasts, as our main emphasis lies in preventative healthcare, adopting a holistic approach to nutrition, and challenging the traditional views on various fitness topics.
Our mission with this podcast is to provide you with the information you need to achieve optimal health.
And on today's episode, we are back. I'll give you guys a quick update, but I will be going at this episode solo. It'll be a shorter episode, but very meaningful in terms of a fitness trend that I see going around that I really wanted to touch on, because although it has its purpose, it could also be a hindrance. So before we dive into that, let me give you a quick update. So we've been out of commission here with the Balanced Bodies Blueprint. And the main reason for that is we just went through a very big move. So getting out of a 12,000 square foot home into a 2,500 square foot rental that we'll be staying in for about a year while we build our new home. It took a lot, and it's still it's pretty packed in here. So there was a lot of moving parts over the last couple months, from my injuries to the baby growing, and I'll give you an update on her in a little bit, to Moose being injured and him trying to recover. There's a lot of moving parts, and we had to put it on hold, but we, meaning myself and Dr. Aaron, are very passionate about getting legitimate information, especially about health and fitness, to the population, and hopefully having that legitimate information spread, because there's so much conflicting information out there. It's kind of sad. But we are so passionate about this that we were like, we got to find a way to do this. And me working from home, I have more time to be able to dedicate to this. So I will probably be doing more solo episodes that'll be quick hitters. And then when we both have time, we will come together and give you that longer episode, and then also have guests on, so on and so forth. So that's going to be the game plan. We'll see how well that goes. Remember, you know, when you have a game plan, it might go out the window if you get punched in the face. So when life punches us in the face, we'll see what happens. But on today's episode, what I want to talk about is a trend that I've been seeing that really can help some people, but it also can keep some people stuck, keep some people comfortable, and not add for any progression. And this is called fitness snacking. So when I say fitness snacking, I'm not talking about like eating while you're working out or eating in, Nike clothes or anything like that. I'm talking about like these short workouts that are like sprinkled throughout the day. They're anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes, and they're like little movement snacks. And it sounds cool. It's extremely doable, but it might be the exact thing that's holding someone back from making real progress. So what I want to do in this episode is I want to break that down. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors from day one, Legion Supplements. They are the only supplement company that I know of that provides all the legitimate research for their ingredients and the dosages in their supplements. So take a look at their supplements. I use their fish oils, their magnesium, their whey protein, and their creatine religiously on a daily basis. I have to re-up on their multivitamin, their low-dose multivitamin, so I have to re-up on that. But yeah, if you've never ordered from them before, you can get 20% off using the code RUSSO, RUSSO, at your checkout. And then if you keep using that code, you will gain points that you can use as Legion dollars for your next orders. So shout out to Legion Supplements for that, sticking with us this entire time. Now, just a quick update on my bicep. So I am 5 months from surgery. So I've been doing my own physical therapy, curling very, very light weights. With back movements, I honestly use ab straps. So it takes my bicep out of it completely, and I just push back with my elbow on the ab strap. Whether I'm doing cable rows, lat pull downs, whatever it is, I will use ab straps. Honestly, it gets really tight. It feels a little sore at sometimes. My forearm is probably the most painful aspect of it, where they drilled to attach the tendon, the cadaver tendon that they had to put in my arm. So it's progressing. I just can't wait for that 6-month mark and them to be like, all right, go ahead, go. Like, don't be nervous. You could do it. Just go ahead, get after it. So I could finally just do what I really want to do when I get to the gym. So that's an update there. We have another update with me and my overall health. And I'm going to need ankle surgery. So when it rains, it pours over here. I tore my ATFL and sprained 3 other ligaments in my ankle. This actually happened before my bicep. So I wound up tweaking it when I was doing high rocks working out. So I was training. I was going to try to compete in a high rocks, and I was running with a weighted vest. And honestly, I felt it. It got tweaked a little bit, and I'm just like, all right, whatever. It's just a little tweaked, and it felt like it was my Achilles tendon. And I really didn't take off. Didn't do anything. I kept boxing, all that stuff. Make a long story short, it's just been extremely painful the past 2 months. It's got progressively worse. Any type of walking, that type of stuff, it just really, really hurts. So I'm like, all right, I got to go get this checked out. So I wound up going to get an x-ray, and it shows a lot of fluid around my Achilles tendon. So initially they're like, all right, you have Achilles bursitis. It is a pretty painful thing, but the only thing that's going to help it is going to be rest. And me being the person who I am, I'm not someone to rest, but I'll try to find ways around it. So I started, if I was going to do anything that required any like real movement, I would throw my boot on, and I didn't feel any pain at all there. Like when I boxed 1 day a week. We brought that down, and I would wear my boot, and I didn't feel any pain at all. It'd be a little stiff afterwards, but no pain while I had the boot on. But that didn't help anything, obviously. So the pain started getting progressively worse and started just staying in one area, not radiating throughout the whole entire foot. So I went back, and they're like, yeah, let's get an MRI just to make sure. But they really think it's Achilles bursitis. So MRI came back, and I have a completely torn ATFL. I don't know the names of the other ligaments. I could bring it up, but I don't feel like doing that right now. But just to make a long story short, there's all the other ligaments in there are pretty much sprained, which is probably where the pain is. I don't really feel the pain where the torn ligament is. I feel it more towards the Achilles tendon on the outside. So what other ligaments are running through there, that's where I really feel the pain. But I also have the Achilles bursitis as well in that foot. So I need to go get ankle surgery. And it's going to be like, I think they said 6 weeks, non-weight bearing, which really sucks because I'm home taking care of my daughter. There's stairs I got to go up and down to get to her food, that type of stuff. So I'm going to have to try to figure this out. No excuses, just kind of put my head down and figure it out. My wife being a physician, she will obviously err towards the conservative side and just be like, hey, like we'll bring everything downstairs and stay downstairs. But I'm not trying to get cabin fever either. So I need to move around. So I think I'll figure it out. Just put it that way. As for Moose is on the mend. I took him to a few, if you're new to this, Moose is my dog, and he wound up getting hit by a car, and broke both of his hips, needed one, FHO, I believe the name of the surgery was, where they completely take out the ball and socket and just let your ligaments heal and muscles form their own little joint. So he needed that on one side, and then obviously needed repair on his hip bone on the other side. But to make a long story short there as well, I keep saying that, he's on the mend. He's got his energy 100% back. He doesn't really use that one leg that often. When he plays around, he definitely does. He doesn't really think about it. But when he's not thinking about it, or when he is thinking about it, he definitely keeps it off the ground. Brought him to physical therapy a few times, and they make him use it. So that is on the mend, which is all great news. He's back to his normal crazy self in terms of energy and personality. But he definitely doesn't like the fact that we don't do as long of walks because he gets pretty tired, and we're not running hills like we did when he was fine. And then as for Eva, that is my baby girl. She is my sunshine. She's everything to me. She's going through a little bit of a regression period right now, so sleep is kind of hitting a wall for myself and my wife. But yeah, everything's great. Everything is absolutely great with her. She is so happy, such a happy baby. When she gets fussy, though, she lets you know. I will say that. She gets very, very fussy, and it's tough, especially when you're here with her most of the day. And she wants to do her own thing, and she can't right now because she can't communicate. But it's a true blessing, and I'm very, very fortunate to have such a beautiful, happy baby in my life. So yeah, that's it for the updates. Let's dive into this fitness snacking. And I just want to really explain what it is initially. So the basic idea is that instead of doing something like a 30 to 40 to 45 to 60-minute workout, you're doing little bursts of movement. So you're doing like 5 minutes here, you're doing 10 minutes there, you're doing 8 minutes here, and maybe it's some like air squats during your lunch break, and then maybe you're doing like a stair sprint after dinner, or maybe you're doing like to relax yourself, you're doing some type of yoga flow before bed that's only like 10 minutes long. And that's where the term snack comes in. So it's just like a short little ingestion of movement. And the internet is going to love this. And the main reason why they're going to love this is because it's really no excuses fitness, right? There's no gym required. You don't need equipment. You can have equipment. You could have some dumbbells and resistance bands, but you don't need it. You don't need a change of clothes. I would. But there's really just like no excuses for you to not do it. And if you think about it, it's like the perfect marketing pitch, right? Because you get people who might feel burned out. Maybe they feel overwhelmed, or maybe they just don't want to go to the gym and they don't like training, but they want to do some type of movement. So it's really like the perfect marketing pitch for them. And if your goal is to avoid inactivity, right? If you don't want to be sedentary anymore, then this is great. You should do this fitness snacking. But if you're here to actually build muscle, if you're here to recomp your physique or improve some form of athletic performance for a sport, then it's not going to get you there, right? So what I want to do is I want to break down like who it's good for, why it's good, and then who shouldn't do it and why you shouldn't do that. So it just sheds light on both like the pros and cons of this fitness snacking. Because like I said, for the right person, it is perfect for them, but it's not perfect for everybody. So there are some really good things about this. Like I said before, like it's very accessible. It lowers the barrier to entry, right? It's honestly better than doing nothing. Like if you're sitting there and you're not doing it and you have time to do it, you might as well do it. And it will actually help build some consistency and build some momentum, which can get you into the mode of wanting to work out. It gets that ball moving downhill, right? And it'll start to catch some momentum, go faster and faster and faster. And hopefully you get to the point to where like you could really fit some form of actual program training into your daily regimen. But there is a trap that comes with this, right? People start actually believing that this is enough to make serious changes in their body composition. And that's when it goes from being pretty helpful to useless, right? Because you get lulled into this comfort zone of low effort, right? Low output and low results. And it really feels like you are doing something, because you are for those 5 to 10 minutes, you are doing something, but you're not really progressing, right? And this is why, like when people ask me about this, I say it keeps people average. Like if you want to be above average, you got to do more. But if you are starting from nowhere, this is great. Like you want to do this, and you want to do it for a long enough time to where you can actually build in a training program into your regimen, a cardio regimen. If you're into running and stuff like that, like you want to build in those longer training programs, so you actually start seeing efficient results, good results. Okay. But the main reasons why this approach to me falls short, right? Like everybody's going to have their own opinion on it. To me, I'm going to say that it falls short because the main factor is there's no progressive overload, right? There's no real meaningful volume progression. It's really hard to add load progression here because if you're doing something for 5 to 10 minutes, how much can you actually do, right? If you're doing it in your office, how heavy of weights can you actually bring in there? So to me, it's not a legitimate way to progressively overload. Those 5-minute circuits, it's not going to build legitimate muscle. Look, you're going to feel a burn 100%, and it's going to bring your caloric expenditure up, which is good for fat loss, but you're not going to be driving adaptations when it comes to muscle mass. So I feel like that's like the biggest issue with it. There's also no real structure. So most people are going to snack on random movements, right? Like they're going to snack just randomly on what they have in the house. You're going to snack on random movements. There's going to be no training block. There's no split. There's no plan. You're not tracking what you're actually doing. It's just like, here's a time limit. Here are the movements I'm doing, and I'm going, right? So it's more of like a wing it method that's repackaged with this cute snacking name, right? And without structure and without tracking what you're doing, there is not going to be much progression. I touched on this aspect of it being like minimal mechanical tension. I touched on that with the first thing, with the progressive overload, because if you think about it, like the air squats that you're doing, the body weight lunges, yes, you're going to feel a burn. You are expending calories. You're getting that muscle moving. You're getting it working, but that's not replacing heavy squats. It's not replacing heavy leg press. It's not replacing heavy hip thrusts. So you're not really having the opportunity to develop that strength, to develop that muscle in that area, because there's no real mechanical tension. And then one of the last issues I have with it is that it reinforces this check the box mentality, right? People start thinking like, okay, well, guess what? I did a 5-minute YouTube workout. That's good enough. And was it? I mean, 5 minutes takes me 5 minutes to stretch one arm. Like, but then again, look at me, I'm all injured and shit. So don't take my advice with that. But the way I see it, like a 5 to 10 minute like YouTube workout, I mean, great for getting moving, but to me, that's still just a warm up. If you are looking for that progression with your body, if you're looking for that body recomposition, to me, that's a warm up, man. So if you're constantly doing the minimum by just checking a box, your results are going to reflect that sooner or later. So you might see initial results, especially if you're someone who hasn't done a lot of working out, right? Maybe you're just a very sedentary person, and maybe you never worked out a day in your life, and you start doing this. You will see results, and they might come quickly, but over time, they're going to stall out if you keep doing that 5 to 10 minute workout. So, but the thing is with this, like I know I'm harping on it as a negative thing, but there is a population that benefits from this. Someone coming back from injury, this is great to do. I mean, I should take this advice, right? People that seem to be pretty obese, it's a good way to get started. It's a good way to avoid that insecurity of being at the gym, right? If you want to see it that way. Someone who's completely sedentary, like someone who's really busy. A lot of people that travel, like if you travel a lot, this might be great to do in your hotel room. This is good for people that have a lot of life stresses or are dealing with mental health issues. And the most important thing I think is going to be like people who are just starting out, right? Like the new beginner, and they just want to start somewhere. This is a perfect starting block for them, right? So if that sounds like you, if any of those lifestyles sound like you, then that's awesome. Start with these fitness stacks, and hopefully over time, no pun intended here, but you build an appetite for a full meal, right? Because you can't stay on baby steps forever, right? You have to graduate sooner or later if you want to progress, right? So that's the main thing. It's like you could say, like, I could sit here and talk about how it's not perfect for me and how like I would never do it, but my lifestyle is completely different from Tom's, and Tom's is completely different from Sam's, and Sam's is completely different from Jane's. So me saying or harping on the negative aspect of it is because my goals are different. My goals are to get as big and as strong as possible, and I can't do that with a 5 to 10 minute circuit workout. Can't. It's just not going to happen. I wouldn't be able to have the weights around me to be able to do so. But if your goal is to just get moving, right? If your goal is to get your heart rate up, if your goal is to lose a little bit of weight, if your goal is to build some momentum, if your goal is to start building some consistency with healthier lifestyle habits, if your goal is to get something in because you are so busy, then this is great. This is great for you to do, okay? But once again, if you want to drop the serious body fat, if you want to build some lean muscle, if you want to change how your body looks and performs in the long term, you need to train. Like, you actually need to train with heavier weights. And I'm saying, like, people want to do 5 to 6 days a week. No, like 3 to 4 days training, resistance training hard, with progressive resistance, having some structured programming, you have nutrition that supports not only the working out aspect, but also the recovery aspect, then you're going to have to do it that way. Okay. Now, I work with moms that are extremely busy. I work with business owners, work with CEOs. I work with military, right? And I have a bunch of military people that go away at a month's time. They go away on the weekends. They the military that I've dealt with so far have the most hectic schedules, I would say, because it's not that it's so random, it's that it's so extreme. The most random is obviously the traveling professionals, because it's like, hey, like you got to go midweek, and then maybe you have 2 weeks at home where you're in your environment, and then you're gone for another week, and then you come back and you got to go right again. So those are the most hectic because of how random it is. But the military is very extreme, and then they don't have like the food necessary available to them. You know, maybe they're eating those pre-made meals that are like 3,000 calories or whatever. But anyway, like I work with all these people, and they still find a time to get in what they need to get in. And they do that because their output, right, is matching the goal that they want. So if your goal is to really have some serious fat loss, or really build some muscle, really have this body recomposition, your output's going to need to match that. If your output cannot match that, then you need to change your goal, and that's okay. I just made a comment to one of my friends on my Instagram post where I'm like, as an example, you can't ask for Chris Bumstead legs when all you could do is bodyweight lunges and air squats for 5 to 10 minutes. It's not going to happen, right? So you have to realize a realistic goal if you are strapped for time, or if you can't get that stuff in, okay? But just getting back to like where this can fit into a real plan. So let's just say you're someone who's like, someone like myself, where I want to do the resistance training. I want to get as strong as possible and as big and lean as possible. I love going to the weight room. So let's say you're one of those people. Where can you fit fitness snacking in? All right, because we talked about the individuals that should make use of it. We talked about the individuals that shouldn't make use of it. Now let's talk about the individuals that shouldn't make use of it but can. So you can fit these into certain things. You can fit it into a rest day and do that like for mainly mobility. Yeah, I would say probably the mobility aspect of it would be great. If you have stuff where you're like midday, you're starting to get tired, or you just feel like you've been sitting for a very long time, it's a good way to kind of get that body moving again. When you're traveling, and let's just say there is no gym, and let's say you're going to another country and there's no gym nearby, you don't have a car there, the hotel doesn't have one, then this would be great to do there too. So if you look at it, it's like, where can I fit in some movement, not where can I get my training in? And that's where I feel like people who stick to a progressively overloading resistance training type plan can actually fit this fitness snacking in. It's more or less like, well, where can I get some extra movement in? Or, wow, I feel like I didn't move all day today. Let me just try to do something to move. Or, damn, I'm traveling, I have nothing available to me. I got to get something in, so let me do this, right? So don't confuse it with training. Just make sure you understand, like, it's movement, not stimulus. And we all know that if we really, really want results, we are going to need that stimulus that drives that adaptation. So let me just wrap this all up. We're getting on 25 minutes here. Let me just wrap this up and say that, in my own opinion, fitness snacking is not a training plan. It's an extremely helpful tool. It can be a very good warm-up, but it's an extremely helpful tool for those who actually need it and who, for lack of a better term, qualify for it, right? But even for those who qualify for it, if you stay there for too long, you're going to stay stuck where you are. So progress will come from, pushing that envelope forward, going for a little bit more, not sitting there being comfortable with what you've been doing for a very long time. So what you can do is you could literally take a step back, audit your week, right? How many workouts did you do? How many real workouts did you do? I'll call them real for simplicity here. How much progressive overload have you applied in the last 4 weeks? If you're not sure, then it's time to start tracking. If you are afraid to get started and need help with fitness plan and nutrition, that's where coaches come into play, and they take care of that for you, and you just trust what they know. You abide by what their protocols say, and you see how it works for you. And hopefully you find the right one sooner than later. Because when you work with a coach who's not for you, it's going to be a difficult experience, but that doesn't mean that not all coaches are for you. So I have a pretty good track record. So if you want it to work with someone, you could definitely reach out to myself, and I will definitely help you there. So on behalf of Balanced Bodies, we just want to say thank you for joining us on this episode of the Balanced Bodies Blueprint.
We are committed to bringing valuable content. And if you enjoyed today's episode, we'd greatly appreciate it if you can take a moment and like it and leave a 5-star review.
On Apple, just go to the show, scroll down to the bottom and rate it there. If you're on Spotify, go to the show's page, click the 3 dots, and you can rate it there as well.
And if you believe in the power of knowledge, share this episode on your social media to try and get the information out there to as many people as possible.
And as you navigate your own path towards better health, remember that Balanced Bodies is forever in your corner. See you all next week.
The podcast content may include discussions of medical topics and health-related information. However, the information provided should not be considered exhaustive or complete, and it should not be relied upon as a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment.